right, we ready? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Griffin.
Here.
Bishop. Conwell. Gray. Excuse me. Hairston. Harsh. House Jones. Jones. Casey. Kelly. Moorer. McCormack. Polensik. Santana. Slife. Spencer. Starr. You have a quorum, Mr. President.
Thank you. Will everyone please rise for a moment of silence followed by the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I will make the following statement. This meeting of Cleveland City Council is a lawful meeting. Under Section 605.04 of the Codified Ordinances, no person with purpose to prevent or disrupt a lawful meeting shall do any act which obstructs or interferes with the due conduct of such meeting. Members of the public are invited to speak only under the rules set by this council. Disruptions, including but not limited to speaking out of turn and making loud noises and loud utterances, are in violation of the rules and interfere with the due conduct of this lawful meeting. Such disruptions may constitute a misdemeanor and a violation of Section 605.04. Anyone who disrupts this lawful meeting is in violation of the codified ordinances, commits misdemeanors, and is subject to prosecution. The following is the first and only warning. If this meeting is disrupted, I will gavel a halt to the proceedings and direct the assembled officers to escort any person participating in the disruption out of the chamber. Once persons participating in the disruption are outside of the chambers, the officers will close the doors and the disruptors will be handled as directed by the Director of Public Safety. The council proceedings will not begin again until those that participated in the disruption have left the chamber and the chamber doors are closed. Disruptors will not be allowed back in the chamber after the meeting resumes. Again, this is the first and only warning. Madam Clerk, please dispense with the journal.
By Councilmember Bishop, that the reading of the minutes of the last meeting be dispensed with the journal approved. Seconded by Councilmember Gray.
All right. Please share communications.
Oh, I have it. File number 783, 2025, from Council President Blaine A. Griffin, designating without objection by Council Alan Dreyer to serve as Clerk of Council pro tem for all matters requiring the clerk's signature on June 13th, June 16th, and 17th. File number 784, 2025, from Council President Blaine A. Griffin, designating without objection by Council Vakita Stiggers to serve as Clerk of Council pro tem for all matters requiring the clerk's signature on June 18, 2025, and on June 20th. File number 795, 2025, from Mayor Justin Bibb, appointment of Luther Roddy to Community Police Commission. File number 785, 2025, dedication plat for dedication of Morris Black Road located between Woodland Avenue and Mount Carmel Road in Ward 6, approved by committees on municipal services and properties and development planning and sustainability. Without objection, plat is approved. From the Ohio Division of Liquor Control, file number 772 regarding a transfer of ownership application at 4211 Lorraine Avenue, Ward 3. File number 773, 2025, regarding a new license application at 15515 Waterloo Road, Ward 8. File number 774, 2025, regarding a transfer of ownership application at 5428 Detroit Avenue, Ward 15. File number 775, 2025, regarding a transfer of ownership application at 13813 Lorraine Avenue, Ward 16. File number 776, 2025, regarding a new license application at 14037 Puritas Avenue, Ward 16. File number 777, 2025, regarding a new license application at 1426 West 3rd Street, Ward 3. File number 778, 2025, regarding a new license application at 1622 East 55th Street, Ward 7. File number 779, 2025, regarding a transfer of license application at 2871 East 116th Street, Ward 4. File number 780, 2025, regarding a transfer of ownership application at 11310 Juniper Road, Ward 7. File number 781, 2025, regarding a transfer of ownership application at 1176 Front Street, Ward 3. File number 782, 2025, regarding a new license application at 2038 West 4th Street, Ward 3. File number 795, 2025, regarding a transfer of ownership application at 12408 Union Avenue, Ward 4. File number 857, 2025, regarding a new license application at 3029 Woodhill Road, Ward 4.
Thank you. I'm going to make a brief detour for presentations. I'm going to ask if we can open up the well for the families of Denzel Richmond and Tiandre Hurt, and also be joined by Jessica Schindler as well as Brendan Erskine. So if we could open up the door, and I'm asking the Councilman Starr if he could join me up here. Thank you. All right, really, this is in Councilman Starr's ward, and I'm going to turn it over to him for comments in a second. But, you know, through every tragedy, you actually see the character of people that come out of the woodworks to really come and help whenever we see tragedies. About a week ago, we seen one of the biggest tragedies in our city. Unfortunately, no one expired, but in Garden Valley, we had a major explosion and fire. For those of you who did not visit the site, it was really, really apocalyptic. It was really traumatic, and your jaw would just drop when you seen that. But through these kind of tragedies, you see the character, especially of young people that step up and just took leadership role and just came in and just helped, okay? And TJ and DeAndre are two of those young people that when I showed up on the scene to help out my colleague Richard Starr and to help raise money and to do some things to help the victims around the Garden Valley explosion, I recognized these two young leaders that we had to bring down here to recognize, because in one of the midst of the biggest tragedies of our community, these two young men stepped up and coordinated and led so much of the volunteer efforts around collecting the food, the water, the clothing. They literally just stepped in, helped Councilman Starr, helped the leadership team with Ms. Schindler over at Garden Valley, and I just felt it was necessary. Even though we don't have a proclamation for them today, they're leaving to go to college in about 1 week, and we really felt it was necessary to bring them down here and acknowledge them for the leadership and the hard work that they did. Let's give them a round of applause. And it's these two young men here in the purple shirts, and once again, they just stepped in. They didn't need direction. They didn't need to be told what to do. They came in and they showed leadership. So them and their parents, I want to tell you all, you ought to be so proud. All of the leadership of Garden Valley, you ought to be so proud. We always talk about what's wrong with the young people in our community, but we don't highlight and show when we got true leadership and young people that live in an area that most people will say condescending mark, like we just seen in the billboard issue and some of these other things where they look at our community like we are a throwaway community. And in the midst of that community, we have diamonds in the rough that are showing up every day and doing great things. So Councilman Starr, if you could say a couple of things, and then I want to turn it over to these young men to make some remarks.
I will be brief because I did ask for additional time during miscellaneous that I'll talk on the actual events. Just major shout out to the entire city as well as the community to come together in a tragic event that took place a little bit over 2 weeks ago. It was a Monday, and if you know, I just had another fire this past Monday. A lot is going on in the city. a lot is going on in the neighborhood, but when things like this happen, it just showed the heart of the community, how everybody was able to pull together to help the families, and that's just a wonderful opportunity. And when you talk about leadership, leadership does not have an age. It does not have a height. It doesn't have nothing. It's all about having the will and the belief to roll up your sleeves to support others. So give it up to these two young men for coming in and making sure they took care of our families.
So let's hear from them. Let's hear from, and their organization is called Young Student Athletes, but let's hear from them, and then I also want Ms. Schindler if she wants to add anything to it, but please.
I appreciate everybody for bringing us out today. Yeah, I just want to give a thank you to the councilman and y'all guys for letting us, welcoming us here today. Big shout out to Ms. Jessica. She let us come in her place of work and help out, and we were just something we wanted to do. I mean, the kids wanted to help. The kids wanted to be involved. They wanted to be around. They wanted to get back to the community, so we just took a chance and it worked. So we're just thankful for the opportunity.
TJ? Come on, TJ. Come on, TJ. Well, then we're going to let the mama speak then. Come on. We're going to let the parents, if the parents want to say anything. Come on now. We got to say. There we go.
How y'all doing this evening? I had the pleasure, I'm a coach of the Garden Valley 14U Falcons. It was a pleasure coaching these guys right here. I ain't have a chance to coach this one. I met him a long time ago, long road. But this is a great leader right here on the football field and off the field. Denzel, a great leader to them boys over there. And I appreciate what he did, what y'all did, TJ, everything. And they some great kids though, watching them grow up and giving back to that, what happened? I'm just shocked, man. They some great kids.
I do want to give a couple more shout outs if I could. The security guard that's here did a great job. I want to acknowledge the security guard. Every time I showed up, he was there to make sure that everything was running smooth. And then I want to give a shout out to Director Angela Woodson. Angela Shute Woodson and her team did a magnificent job. And you know, it's always great when you could just see the administration and council working together. And I would tell you that for one of the first times, I didn't have to do a heavy lift, because when I went over there, Councilman Starr and Director Shute Woodson and these young men would say, this is what we need. And the manager said, this is what we need, Councilman. And we immediately went to work. A lot of us, the D9, came together and did a lot of good work around this too, but I'm gonna leave those comments to Richard Starr. But let's give these young men and this team from Garden Valley, and Jessica, come here too. Jessica as well. This was a real tough tragedy. Jessica's the manager. And this was really a tough tragedy. For those of you who didn't get a chance to experience it on the ground, this was very traumatic to the people that were there. But like I said, in every dark place, there's a light that shines. So thank you guys so much, okay? We'll follow up later with these guys as well, okay? Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate y'all. Y'all got a great group of young men. Thank you. Yep, picture.
I'm texting him, Joe Jones, Chris Harsh.
Harsh had a Jasmine meeting. Joe Jones. Call Joe Jones.
I just did. So, if that's the only piece, there's two pieces.
the procedure are. We had several council members that had emergencies that couldn't be here. We are trying to figure out who we can get in. We've had several emergencies that council members are not here. So what we're trying to do is we're going to read the legislation, but there are two pieces that we're trying to that need 2/3 vote to pass under emergency. And because we don't have those council members, we might have to hold two pieces and have a special meeting. So, clerk, go with what we could do, and then we'll go from there, okay? Just the two that we can't pass under emergency, let's just read everything else.
Resolutions of condolence by Councilmember Jones for Charlie E. Bibb Sr., by Councilmember Gray for Judith Pandy, by Councilmember Polensek, by Shaka Amir Kinney, by Councilmember House Jones,
Right, so we got
Dr.
except for
Ronald A. Adams, by Councilmember Griffin for Luan Sims, by Councilmember Griffin for Annie Murphy, by Councilmember Griffin for Renee Hogan, by Councilmember Griffin for Charles Tyndall, by Councilmember Kelly for Abby Renee Prater, by Councilmember Starr for Joan White, by Councilmember Jones for Charles Patton, by Councilmember Conwell for Joyce Austin, by Councilmember House Jones, these can't be, by Councilmember House Jones for Bishop John Lee Hilton Sr., by Councilmember Starr for Margaret Bonner, by Councilmember Griffin for Jacqueline Mohammed, by Councilmember Santana for Thomasita Rivera, by Councilmember Gray for Randolph L. Freeman, by Councilmember Griffin for Sarah A. Gardner, by all members of council for Cortez Davian Smith, by Councilmember Griffin for Donald M. Coma, Jr., by Councilmember Jones for Nina Powell, by Councilmember Griffin for Verdell L. Chambers, by Councilmember Jones for Thelma Ann King, by Councilmember House Jones for Willie Gray, by Councilmember Conwell for Billy Abdul Hassan Joe Ray, by Councilmember Starr for Arthur James Wells, by I'm sorry, that was all the condolence.
Are there any other condolence resolutions? And I do want to offer two condolence resolutions. One is for Judge Sarah Harper. And then one is for our former colleague and employee at OEO, former Councilman Zach Reed. His mother, Leona Reed, passed away. So please hold out a number for those two. Are there any other condolence resolutions? Councilman Brian Casey.
You can please hold out a number for Mark Hughes. Thanks.
So moved.
Are there any other condolence resolutions? Will council members please rise for a moment of silence? Thank you. Please proceed. Are there any congratulatory resolutions?
Resolutions of congratulations by Councilmember Starr for Maddie Polk, by Councilmember Starr for St. Andrew Episcopal Church, by Councilmember House Jones for Habiba Rashid Grimes, by Councilmember Conwell for St. Aloysius St. Agatha Parish, by Councilmember Conwell for Glenville Library on their grand opening, by Councilmember Gray for Luca Memorial Chapel on their 25th anniversary, by Councilmember Polensek for Terry Sandy, by Councilmember Griffin for Rosa DeJesus, by Councilmember Griffin for Delise Wood, by Councilmember House Jones for Byron Valentine. Resolutions of recognition by Councilmember Conwell for Louis Moore, by Councilmember Griffin for NAACP participation in the Pride Parade, by Councilmember Griffin for East High School on their 60th class reunion, by Councilmember Jones for Marvin Cross, by Councilmember Jones for New Sardis Primitive Baptist Church 2025 Men's Day, by Councilmember Griffin for Carl B. Stokes Day, by Councilmember Starr for Clee Pearls. Resolutions of welcome by Councilmember Polensek for Calpeda Youth Choir, by Councilmember Polensek, the Hauser Williams Russell 110th Annual Reunion.
All right, thank you. First reading emergency ordinances referred for administrative review and committee review.
Ordinance 786, 2025 by Councilmember McCormack, authorizing the Director of Department of Parks and Rec to enter into a grant agreement with Ohio City Incorporated to provide program support for Near West recreation youth programs. Ordinance 798, 2025 by Councilmembers McCormack and Griffin by departmental request to amend Section 571.061 of the codified ordinances relating to secured area identification badges issued by the Director of Port Control. Ordinance 799, 2025 by Councilmembers Hairston and Griffin by departmental request, authorizing Director of Economic Development to enter into an agreement with the Urban League of Greater Cleveland or its designee to assist with costs related to outreach, assistance, and administration of the UBiz microloan program and assistance, training, and planning for small businesses through the Entrepreneurship Center of the Urban League of Greater Cleveland. Ordinance 800, 2025 by Councilmembers Hairston and Griffin by departmental request to amend Section 1 of Ordinance 1167, 2024 relating to a contract with Santec Consulting Services to provide professional services for on-call planning services. Ordinance 801, 2025 by Councilmembers Polensek and Griffin by departmental request to amend Section 171.37 of the codified ordinances relating to reimbursement of tuition for employee education. Ordinance 802, 2025 by Councilmembers McCormack and Griffin by departmental request, authorizing Director of Port Control to enter into an amendment to a contract with J.D. Power to provide additional survey services and extend the contract. Ordinance 803, 2025 by Councilmembers McCormack, Bishop, and Griffin by departmental request, authorizing Directors of Parks and Rec and Port Control to enter into an amendment to the existing lease agreement with the Board of Park Commissioners for the Cleveland Metropolitan Park District for Rivergate Park to add additional city-owned property to the leased premises. Ordinance 804, 2025 by Councilmembers Casey and Griffin by departmental request, authorizing the Director of Public Utilities to enter into one or more agreements with CHN Housing Partners to administer energy, water, and sewer conservation services to low-income homeowners for the divisions of water, water pollution control, and Cleveland Public Power, Department of Public Utilities for a period of 2 years. Ordinance 805, 2025 by Councilmembers Polensek and Griffin by departmental request, authorizing the Director of Public Safety to enter into one or more requirement contracts without competitive bidding with Boundtree Medical for proprietary Curaplex hazmat kits for the Division of Emergency Medical Service, Department of Public Safety, for a term of 1 year with 2 one-year options to renew, exercisable by the Director of Public Safety, and to repeal Ordinance 941, 2024, relating to a requirement contract for hazmat suits. Ordinance 806, 2025 by Councilmembers Polensek and Griffin by departmental request, authorizing the Director of Public Safety to donate a former police vehicle to the Cleveland Police Museum and to enter into an agreement to make the donation. Ordinance 807, 2025 by Mayor Bibb, to establish the Office of Sustainability and Climate Justice, to supplement the codified ordinances by enacting new Section 123.11 relating to the Office of Sustainability and Climate Justice, and to amend Section 121.01 relating to offices considered departments. Ordinance 808, 2025 by Councilmembers Hairston, Polensek, and Griffin by departmental request, to supplement the codified ordinances of Cleveland, Ohio by enacting new Section 401.711 relating to the definition of underspeed vehicles, and to enact new Sections 450.01 to 06 and 450.99 relating to underspeed vehicles. Ordinance 809, 2025 by Councilmembers Griffin, Bishop, and Hairston by departmental request, authorizing the Director of Capital Projects to issue a permit to the Cleveland Clinic Foundation to encroach into, over, and under the public right-of-way of East 96th Street by installing, using, and maintaining a canopy, footers, and columns. Ordinance 810, 2025, by council members Starr, Bishop, and Hairston, by departmental request, authorizing the Director of Capital Projects to issue one or more permits to Greater Cleveland Regional Transit Authority to encroach into the public right-of-way of East 79th Street. Ordinance 811, 2025, by council members Bishop and Griffin by departmental request, to amend Section 1 of Ordinance 718, 2024, relating to the purchase, lease, or lease with option to purchase of various on-road vehicles, apparatus, and off-road equipment, cabs, bodies, and accessories, equipment, and other aftermarket items for the various divisions of city government. Ordinance 812, 2025, by council members Polensek and Griffin by departmental request, authorizing the Director of Public Safety to enter into an amendment to a contract with Cuyahoga County for the County Sheriff's Department relating to housing and providing services for city prisoners to increase the per diem rate and to amend other provisions regarding the booking and charging of city prisoners. Ordinance 813, 2025, by council members McCormack and Griffin by departmental request, authorizing the Director of Port Control to amend a lease with Markin Cami, LLC, for the lease of space located at Burke Lakefront Airport for the operation of podcast studios and a software company. Ordinance 814, 2025, by council members McCormack, Bishop, and Hairston, by departmental request, giving consent of the City of Cleveland to the Director of Transportation of the State of Ohio to replace the Lorraine Avenue Bridge over Columbus Road and authorizing agreements. Ordinance 815, 2025, by councilmember Griffin, by departmental request, to provide for the transfer and amendment of $242,804 within the general fund. Ordinance 816, 2025, by council members Bishop and Griffin by departmental request, authorizing the Directors of Parks and Recreation and Finance to enter into one or more contracts with Cleveland Metropolitan School District to conduct recreational, cultural, and extracurricular programs for the benefit of school children during the 2024-25 school year. Ordinance 817, 2025, by council members Bishop and Griffin by departmental request, authorizing the Director of Parks and Recreation to enter into an agreement with the Neighborhood Leadership Institute to implement educational, recreational, and cultural programs in various school buildings and other facilities during evening hours, provide leadership training, and supervise the summer tennis program. Ordinance 818, 2025, by councilmember Hairston by departmental request, designating Greater New Calvary Baptist Church as a Cleveland landmark. Ordinance 819, 2025, excuse me, by council members Conwell, Hairston, and Griffin by departmental request, authorizing the Director of Economic Development to enter into a forgivable loan agreement with Famicos Foundation or its designee to provide economic development assistance to partially finance the acquisition and development of interior and exterior improvements at a mixed-use building located at 1355 East 105th Street and other associated costs necessary to redevelop the property. Ordinance 820, 2025, by councilmember Griffin by departmental request, authorizing the Director of Finance to employ one or more professional consultants to study, assess, market, and self-corporate sponsorships for city facilities and assets. Ordinance 821, 2025, by council members Bishop and Griffin by departmental request, authorizing the Director of Public Works to employ one or more professional consultants to manage and operate the Division of Motor Vehicle Maintenance, 7 parts room, and to manage the inventory needed for fleet maintenance operations and other related issues for the Division of Motor Vehicle Maintenance, Department of Public Works, and authorizing Director of Public Works to enter into various written standard purchase and requirement contracts for materials, equipment, supplies, and/or services needed for the specialty stock and inventory for fleet maintenance, which are necessary to effectuate the purposes of this ordinance, including labor and materials if necessary, for a period of 3 years with 3 one-year options to renew, exercisable by the Director of Public Works. Ordinance 822, 2025, by Council Members Casey and Griffin by departmental request, authorizing the Director of Public Utilities to enter into one or more contracts with OW Investors, DBA Mars Company, for the professional services necessary to provide software and hardware maintenance for the testing, maintaining, and upgrading of water meters for residential and commercial use, including acquiring licenses, integrating and installing system upgrades, hardware upgrades, and hardware software maintenance, and related equipment, labor, and materials for the Division of Water, Department of Public Utilities for a period of 3 years. Ordinance 823, 2025, by Council Members Casey and Griffin by departmental request, authorizing the purchase by one or more requirement contracts of disposal of debris at landfills, transfer stations, or reclaim facility sites for the Divisions of Water, Cleveland Public Power, and Water Pollution Control, Department of Public Utilities for a term of 2 years with a 1-year option to renew, exercisable by the Director of Public Utilities. Ordinance 824, 2025, by Council Members Casey and Griffin by departmental request, authorizing the purchase by one or more requirement contracts of various types of fencing, gate operators, gates, vertical pivot lift gates, barriers, walls, and guardrails, including associated appurtenances and labor and materials necessary to repair or maintain existing equipment and appurtenances, including installation if necessary at various facilities for the various divisions of the Department of Public Utilities for a period of up to 2 years. Ordinance 825, 2025, by Council Members Casey and Griffin by departmental request, authorizing the purchase by one or more requirement contracts of labor and materials necessary to maintain, test, inspect, repair, enhance, or replace and install HVAC systems and component parts, including heating boilers, ventilation and air conditioning systems, environmental controls, software and components, including rentals if necessary, for the Divisions of Water, Water Pollution Control, Cleveland Public Power, and Office of Radio Communications, Department of Public Utilities. Ordinance 826, 2025, by Council Members Casey and Griffin by departmental request, authorizing the purchase by one or more requirement contracts of labor and materials necessary to test, maintain, and repair backup electrical gear, diesel drives for pumps, petroleum-based fuel equipment, and computer backup systems for the various divisions of the Department of Public Utilities for a term of 2 years. Ordinance 837, 2025, by Council Members Starr, Hairston, and Griffin by departmental request to repeal Ordinance 40, 2025, relating to a ground lease with Rust Belt Riders composting for the use and occupancy of property located at 3270 East 79th Street to consolidate its composting facility operations and to install a retail operation at the location. Ordinance 838, 2025, by Council Members Starr, Hairston, and Griffin by departmental request, authorizing the Commissioner of Purchases and Supplies to sell city-owned property no longer needed for public use located on East 87th Street to Rust Belt Riders Composting or its designee. Ordinance 843, 2025, by Council Members Conwell and Griffin by departmental request, authorizing the Director of Public Health to apply for and accept a grant from the United States Department of Homeland Security for the BioWatch program, and authorizing the Director to enter into various written standard purchase and requirement contracts for courier services needed to transport BioWatch samples to the Ohio Department of Health for testing. Ordinance 844, 2025, by Council Members McCormack, Bishop, and Hairston and Griffin by departmental request to vacate a portion of Hancock Avenue. Ordinance 845, 2025, by council members Bishop and Griffin by departmental request, determining the method of making the public improvement of designing and constructing or constructing, rehabilitating, renovating, replacing, or otherwise improving cemeteries, including site improvements and appurtenances, and authorizing Director of Parks and Recreation or capital projects as appropriate to enter into one or more public improvement contracts for the making of the improvement, enter into one or more professional services and other contracts needed to implement the improvement, to apply for and accept grants and gifts, and authorizing the direct employment of necessary labor for the Department of Parks and Recreation or the Office of Capital Projects. Ordinance 846, 2025, by council members Bishop and Griffin by departmental request, determining the method of making the public improvement of designing and constructing, rehabilitating, renovating, or replacing, or otherwise improving public facilities, buildings, and other similar structures, including site improvements and appurtenances, and authorizing the Director of Public Safety, Public Works, or Capital Projects as appropriate to enter into one or more public improvement contracts for the making of the improvements, enter into one or more professional services and other contracts needed to implement the improvement, to apply for and accept grants and gifts, and authorizing the direct employment of the necessary labor for the Department of Public Safety, Public Works, or the Office of Capital Projects. Ordinance 847, 2025, by council members Bishop and Griffin by departmental request, determining the method of making public improvement of designing and constructing, rehabilitating, renovating, replacing, or otherwise improving recreational facilities, ancillary recreation buildings, parks and playgrounds, and other similar structures or amenities on city-owned and city-leased park property, including site improvements and appurtenances, and authorizing the Director of Parks and Recreation, Public Works, or Capital Projects as appropriate to enter into one or more public improvement contracts for the making of the improvements, enter into one or more professional services and other contracts needed to implement the improvement, to apply for and accept grants and gifts, and authorizing the direct employment of necessary labor for the Departments of Parks and Recreation or Public Works and Office of Capital Projects. Ordinance 848, 2025, by council members Bishop and Griffin by departmental request, determining the method of making the public improvement of designing and constructing or constructing, rehabilitating, renovating, replacing, or otherwise improving roadways, streets, bridges, sidewalks, and other similar projects, including site improvements and appurtenances, and authorizing the Director of Public Works or Capital Projects as appropriate to enter into one or more public improvement contracts for the making of the improvements, enter into one or more professional services and other contracts needed to implement the improvement, to apply for and accept grants and gifts, and authorizing the direct employment of necessary labor for the Department of Public Works and the Office of Capital Projects. Ordinance 852, 2025, by council members Bishop and Griffin by departmental request, authorizing the purchase by one or more standard and requirement contracts for the purchase, lease, or lease with option to purchase of various heavy-duty trucks and equipment for the various divisions of city government. Ordinance 853, 2025, by council members Bishop and Griffin by departmental request, authorizing the purchase by one or more standard and requirement contracts for the purchase, lease, or lease with option to purchase of various light-duty vehicles and equipment for the various divisions of city government. Ordinance 859, 2025, by Councilmember Hairston, designating East 90th Street between St. Clair and East 91st Street with a secondary and honorary designation of Ruby Mumford Way.
Thank you. First reading emergency ordinances to be passed.
Ordinance 787, 2025, by Councilmember Spencer, to amend Section 1 of Ordinance 608, 2025, relating to a First Amendment agreement with Northwest Neighborhoods Community Development Corporation for Cleveland City Council. Ordinance 788, 2025, by Councilmember Griffin, authorizing the Director of Department of Community Development to enter into agreement with Boys and Girls Club of Northeast Ohio for the public purpose of providing a college and career mentoring and tutoring program through the use of Ward 6 casino revenue funds. Ordinance 789, 2025, by Councilmember Spencer, authorizing the Director of Department of Community Development to enter into agreement with Near West Theater for the public purpose of providing the historic Franklin West Clinton District program through the use of Ward 15 casino revenue funds. Ordinance 827, 2025, by Councilmembers Jones, Bishop, Gray, Hairston, and Griffin, by departmental request, to amend the title, first and second whereas clauses, and sections 1 and 2 of Ordinance 482, 2023, relating to agreements to provide economic development assistance for commercial corridor projects through the South Side Commercial Corridor Program. Ordinance 828, 2025, by Council Members Hairston and Griffin, by departmental request, to amend Ordinance 1249, 2023, relating to agreements with various private nonprofit organizations and to provide financing for home repairs and to small businesses economically impacted by COVID-19. Ordinance 829, 2025, by Councilmember Griffin, by departmental request, to amend Section 22 of Ordinance 194, 2021, relating to compensation for various classifications. Ordinance 830, 2025, by Councilmember Griffin, by departmental request, to amend Section 50 of Ordinance 194, 2021, as amended, relating to compensation for various classifications. Ordinance 831, 2025, by Councilmember Conwell, to amend Section 2 of Ordinance 536, 2025, relating to the agreement with Amicos Foundation for the East 105th Safety and Security Program. Ordinance 832, 2025, by Councilmembers Hairston and Griffin, by departmental request, authorizing the Director of Economic Development to apply for and accept a grant from Cleveland Foundation for the Business Development Growth Grant. Ordinance 833, 2025, by Councilmembers McCormack, Hairston, and Griffin, by departmental request, approving the addition of property located at 2429 Superior Viaduct to Northeast Ohio Advanced Energy District, accepting and approving a petition and plan from property owner in the district identifying a special energy improvement project, declaring it necessary to conduct the special energy improvement project, providing for the assessment of the cost of such special energy improvement project, authorizing Director of Economic Development to enter into an energy project cooperative agreement and a special assessment agreement to implement the project and declaring an emergency. Ordinance 834, 2025, by Councilmember Griffin, by departmental request, authorizing Director of Finance on behalf of Cleveland Municipal Court to apply for and accept a grant from Ohio Office of Criminal Justice Services to reimburse the Cleveland Municipal Court for the cost incurred to upgrade its iCloud software for computer systems. Ordinance 835, 2025, by Councilmember Griffin, by departmental request, authorizing the Director of Finance to consent to the assignment of a contract with Diligent Canada, Inc. to Diligent Corporation, and authorizing the Director to enter into an amendment to the assigned contract regarding certain terms. Ordinance 836, 2025, by Councilmember Griffin, by departmental request, approving the collective bargaining agreement with Ohio Patrolmen's Benevolent Association, and to amend Section 14 of Ordinance 194, 2021, as amended, relating to compensation for various classifications. Ordinance 839, 2025, by Councilmembers McCormack, Hairston, and Griffin, by departmental request, authorizing the Director of Economic Development to enter into a tax increment financing agreement with TDG Franklin North and/or its designee to assist with the financing of Franklin Yard North project to be located at 3210 Franklin Boulevard to provide for payments to the Cleveland Metropolitan School District and to declare certain improvements to real property to be a public purpose. Ordinance 840, 2025, by Council Members McCormack, Hairston, and Griffin, by departmental request, authorizing the Director of Economic Development to enter into a tax increment financing agreement with TDG Franklin Realty or its designee to assist with the financing of the Franklin Yards South project to be located at 3105 Franklin Boulevard, to provide for payments to Cleveland Metropolitan School District and to declare certain improvements to real property to be a public purpose. Ordinance 841, 2025, by Council Members McCormack, Hairston, and Griffin, by departmental request, to remove certain parcels of property from shore to core to shore TIF district created by Ordinance 38, 2024, as amended by Ordinance 746, 2024, authorizing the Director of Economic Development to enter into a tax increment financing agreement with Twain SB 3 LLC or its designee to assist with financing of the Bell project and to be located at 45 East 9th Street, to provide for payments to the Cleveland Metropolitan School District and to declare certain improvements to real property to be a public purpose. Ordinance 849, 2025, by Council Members Jones, Bishop, and Griffin, by departmental request, to amend the title in Sections 3 and 10 of Ordinance 762, 2023, to supplement the ordinance by adding new Section 3A relating to the improvement of Lee Road from Miles Avenue to North Corporation Line. Ordinance 851, 2025, by Council Members Hairston and Griffin, by departmental request, authorizing the Director of City Planning to apply for and accept a grant from Northeast Ohio Area-Wide Coordinating Agency for the Congestion Mitigation and Air Quality 2025 Grant Program. Ordinance 854, 2025, by Councilmember Griffin, by departmental request, to make additional appropriations of $1,200,000 to the general fund and authorizing the Director of Community Development to enter into one or more contracts with various community development corporations to provide funding for neighborhood services using general fund dollars. Ordinance 858, 2025, by Council Members Hairston and Griffin, by departmental request, authorizing the Director of Community Development to apply for and accept grants from United States Department of Housing and Urban Development for planning year 2025 under Title I of the Housing and Community Development Act of 1974 for the 2025 Federal Home Investment Partnerships Program, Emergency Solutions Grant Program, and the Housing Opportunities for Persons with AIDS Program.
Read the motion to suspend the rules.
By Councilmember Bishop, that the rules be suspended and the legislation just read be placed on final passage. Seconded by Councilmember Gray.
Call the roll.
Griffin, Bishop, Conwell, Gray, Hairston, Harsh, House, Jones, Casey, Kelly, Moore, McCormack, Polensek, Santana, Slife, Spencer, Starr. 12 yeas.
Call the roll on passage.
Griffin, Bishop, Conwell, Gray, Hairston, Harsh, House, Jones, Casey, Kelly, Moore, McCormack, Polensek, Santana, Slife, Spencer, Starr. Okay, just a second. On 8/28/2025, 12 yeas, no nays. Oh, and one recusal. On all others, 13 yeas, no nays.
Thank you. First reading, ordinances referred for administrative review and committee review.
Ordinance 860, 2025 by Councilmember Slife, changing the use area and height districts of parcels of land north and south of Lorraine Avenue, west of Rocky River Drive.
First reading, emergency resolutions to be adopted.
Resolution 790, 2025 by Councilmember Polensek, expressing strong support for the continued operation of the Cleveland Job Corps Center and urging continued federal funding for Job Corps program. Resolution 791, 2025 by Councilmember Hairston, objecting to a new C2 liquor permit at 1014 East 152nd Street. Resolution 792, 2025 by Councilmember Harsh, objecting to the renewal of a D1, D2, D3, D3A, and D6 liquor permit at 4896 Pearl Road. Resolution 793, 2025 by Councilmember Gray, withdrawing objection to the transfer of ownership of a C1, C2 liquor permit at 3111 East 93rd Street and repealing Resolution 182, 2025, objecting to said permit. Resolution 794, 2025 by Councilmember Polensek, withdrawing objection to the renewal of a D1, D2, D3, D3A liquor permit at 12515-19 and 12523 St. Clair Avenue and repealing Resolution 802, 2024, objecting to said renewal. Resolution 798, 2025 by Councilmembers Spencer, Hairston, and Griffin by departmental request to amend Section 2 of Resolution 669, 2025, adopted June 2, 2025, regarding the approximate boundaries of the Gordon Square Arts District, Cleveland Improvement District. Resolution 842, 2025, by Councilmember Griffin, approving the appointment of Luther Roddy to the Community Police Commission. Resolution 850, 2025, by Councilmembers Spencer, Hairston, and Griffin by departmental request, appointing an assessment equalization board to hear objections to estimated assessments with respect to the creation of the Gordon Square Arts District, Cleveland Improvement District as a special improvement district in the city, an initial plan for the public services for the district, and declaring an emergency. Resolution 858, 2025 by Councilmember Conwell, objecting to the renewal of a C2, C2X liquor permit at 1163 East 123rd Street. Resolution 855, 2025 by Councilmembers McCormack, Hairston, and Griffin by departmental request, appointing the Assessment Equalization Board to hear objections to estimated assessments with respect to the creation of the Downtown Cleveland Improvement District in the city and the initial plan for public services for the district and declaring an emergency.
Read the motion to suspend the rules.
By Councilmember Bishop, that the rules be suspended and the legislation just read be placed on final passage, seconded by Councilmember Gray.
Call the roll.
Griffin, Bishop, Conwell, Gray, Hairston, Harsh, House, Jones, Casey, Kelly, Moore, McCormack, Polensek, Santana, Slife, Spencer, Starr. 13 yeas.
Call the roll on adoption.
Griffin, Bishop, Conwell, Gray, Hairston, Harsh, House, Jones, Casey, Kelly, Moore, McCormack, Polensek, Santana, Slife, Spencer, Starr. 13 yeas.
Thank you. Second reading, emergency ordinances to be passed.
Ordinance 664, 2025, as amended by Councilmembers Hairston and Griffin by departmental request, authorizing the Director of Community Development to enter into one or more agreements with United Way of Greater Cleveland as the lead partner organization to implement a program to provide access to legal services for covered individuals in eviction proceedings under Section 375.12 of the Codified Ordinances. Ordinance 665, 2025, by Councilmembers Conwell and Griffin by departmental request to amend Section 241.05 and 35 of the Codified Ordinances relating to food shop license fees and categories and fees. Ordinance 703, 2025, by Councilmembers Santana, Bishop, and Griffin by departmental request, authorizing Director of Parks and Recreation to accept a donation from the Cleveland Cavaliers for the installation of court surface murals and court game lines with project sponsor logos at 2 basketball courts located at Trent Park. Ordinance 704-2025 as amended by Councilmembers Polensek and Griffin by departmental request to amend Section 630.01 of the codified ordinances relating to criminal activity nuisances declared. Ordinance 706-2025 by Councilmembers Polensek and Griffin by departmental request to amend Section 171.57 of the codified ordinances relating to military service leave of absence and benefits during service. Ordinance 707-2025 by Councilmembers Conwell and Griffin by departmental request to amend Section 241.02 of the codified ordinances relating to enforcement and inspection of food shops. Ordinance 709-2025 as amended by Councilmembers Casey, Bishop, and Griffin by departmental request, authorizing the Director of Capital Projects to request Cuyahoga County to include items not eligible for federal funds in the resurfacing of West 140th Street from Puritas Avenue to Lakewood Heights Boulevard and to cause payment for the city's share. Ordinance 710-2025 by Councilmember Conwell to supplement the codified ordinances of Cleveland, Ohio by amending sections 403.071 and 431.44 relating to idle reduction. Ordinance 711-2025 as amended by Councilmembers Bishop, Hairston, McCormack, and Griffin by departmental request, authorizing the Directors of City Planning, Capital Projects, and Public Works to apply for and accept grants from the Ohio Department of Transportation for the implementation of multimodal transportation Cleveland Moves plan, authorizing Director of City Planning, Capital Projects, and Public Works or appropriate director to enter into contracts to implement the grants, determining the method of making the public improvements of constructing safety and multimodal improvements on several roadway segments, and authorizing contracts to make the improvements, to apply for and accept any gifts or grants from any public or private entity, authorizing the Commissioner of Purchases and Supplies to acquire, accept, and record real property and easements that are necessary for the improvement, and authorizing other agreements. Ordinance 712-2025 as amended by Councilmembers McCormack, Bishop, and Griffin by departmental request, authorizing the Director of Capital Projects to apply for and accept a grant from the Ohio and Erie Canalway Association for the Strategic Initiatives Grant for improvements at Clark Field, and to enter into various written standard purchase and requirement contracts to implement the grant. Ordinance 713-2025 as amended by Council Members Polensek and Griffin by departmental request, authorizing the Director of Public Safety to apply for and accept a grant from the Ohio Office of Criminal Justice Services for fiscal year 2024 Ohio Drug Law Enforcement Fund Grant for the operation of the Cartel Gang Narcotics and Laundering Task Force, formerly known as the Northern Ohio Law Enforcement Task Force, and authorizing the Director to enter into agreements with Cuyahoga County Sheriff's Office and other entities to implement the grant. Ordinance 714-2025 by Councilmembers Bishop and Griffin by departmental request, approving the 2026 to 2040 Cuyahoga County Solid Waste Management Plan upgrade for the Cuyahoga County Solid Waste District. Ordinance 715-2025 by Councilmembers Starr, House Jones, and Hairston, appropriating the funds obtained from Cleveland casino revenues for use by Cleveland City Council for projects properly benefiting the public and adopting new protocols for the use of such funds. Ordinance 716-2025 by Councilmembers Hairston and Griffin by departmental request, authorizing the Director of Community Development to enter into one or more contracts with the Ohio State University for the purpose of implementing the soil lead testing and mitigation components for the 2025 Summer Sprouts Community Gardening Program, Department of Community Development, for a period of 1 year. Ordinance 718-2025 by Council Members Slife, Bishop, and Hairston by departmental request, authorizing the Director of Capital Projects to issue a permit to the Boards of Park Commissioners of the Cleveland Metropolitan Park District to encroach into the public right-of-way of Old Lorraine Road and River Edge Road by installing, using, and maintaining a 10-foot wide asphalt multi-purpose trail. Ordinance 720-2025 as amended by Council Members Starr and Hairston, to supplement the codified ordinances of Cleveland, Ohio by enacting new sections 164.01 to 04 and 173.19 relating to the creation of the Cleveland Commission on Black Males. Ordinance 721-2025 as amended by Council Members Bishop and Griffin by departmental request, authorizing the Director of Finance to execute various deeds of easement and various temporary deeds of easement, granting to the Northeast Ohio Regional Sewer District certain easement rights at several owned properties located near Horseshoe Lake Park in the cities of Cleveland Heights and Shaker Heights, and declaring the easement rights not needed for the city's public use. Ordinance 722-2025 by Council Members Conwell and Griffin by departmental request, authorizing the Director of Public Health to enter into contract with the Ohio Department of Health to perform investigations of violations regarding smoking in workplaces and other public places. Ordinance 724-2025 as amended by Council Members Bishop and Griffin by departmental request, determining the method of making the public improvement of repairing specific brick roadways from any and all funds as authorized by the Director of Finance, authorizing the Director of Mayor's Office of Capital Projects to enter into one or more public improvement contracts for the making of the improvement, authorizing the Director to apply for and accept any gifts or grants, and authorizing any related agreements. Ordinance 745-2025 by Council Members Bishop and Griffin by departmental request to amend Section 1 of Ordinance 1122-2024 relating to the purchase, lease, or lease with option to purchase of various on-road vehicles, apparatus, and off-road equipment, cabs, bodies, and accessories, equipment, and other aftermarket items for the various divisions of city government.
Read the motion to suspend the rules.
By Councilmember Bishop, that the rules be suspended and the legislation just read be placed on final passage, seconded by Councilmember Gray.
Call the roll.
Griffin, Bishop, Conwell, Gray, Hairston, Harsh, House, Jones, Casey, Kelly, Moore, McCormack, Polensik, Santana, Slife, Spencer, Starr. 13 yeas.
Thank you. Call the roll on passage.
Griffin, Bishop, Conwell, Gray, Hairston, Harsh, House, Jones, Casey, Kelly, Moore, McCormack, Polensik, Santana, Slife, Spencer, Starr.
We have Councilwoman Spencer.
Thank you, Council President. Can you mark me as a recusal for 718? Thank you.
On 7/18/2025, there are 12 yeas, no nays, 1 recusal. On all others, 13 yeas, no nays.
Thank you. Second reading emergency ordinances to be passed.
Ordinance 670-2025 by Councilmember House Jones, changing the use area and height districts of parcels of land north and south of Payne Avenue between 32nd and East 38th Street.
Read the motion to suspend the rules.
By Councilmember Bishop, that the rules be suspended and the legislation just read be placed on final passage, seconded by Councilmember Gray.
Call the roll.
Griffin, Bishop, Conwell, Gray, Hairston, Harsh, House, Jones, Casey, Kelly, Moore, McCormack, Polensik, Santana, Slife, Spencer, Starr. 13 yeas.
Call the roll on passage.
Griffin, Bishop, Conwell, Gray, Hairston, Harsh, House, Jones, Casey, Kelly, Moore, McCormack, Polensik, Santana, Slife, Spencer, Starr. 13 yeas.
Thank you. That concludes legislation. We'll now move to introductions. Do we have any introductions? Seeing no introductions, are there any announcements? Do we have any announcements? Is there any miscellaneous? Councilman Richard Starr has asked for extra time on the floor.
I'll be brief. For my colleagues, I know it's been a long day, but definitely want to say thank you all for today. Just want to make sure I give an update more clearly regarding the incident that took place 2 weeks ago involving the Garden Valley, Rainbow Terrace neighborhood. Most people know it as Garden Valley, but that is actually Rainbow Terrace, which is a privately owned HUD subsidized neighborhood. And one of the things I would talk about is got the call around 4:45 about a fire, and then the media called talking about an explosion. Got down there quickly, and you just see 9 buildings, 10 or 12 fire trucks just fighting the fire. And then them solar panels that was on top of it just continuously caught fire, which was alarming. But I wanted to make sure I definitely address this issue that we have certain areas in our neighborhoods where residents don't oftentimes get the maintenance issues addressed like they need. I'm 36 years old. I've never heard of a fire explosion happening in public housing. And when you talk about that, I had to go ahead and do research of an explosion to understand what an explosion take place. Yes, we deal with fires. Yes, we deal with stuff. But I know for the last 3.5 years, I've been dealing with residents calling my office about basic maintenance needs not being met in that area. So I have wrote a letter. I have reached out to the Attorney General. I have reached out to Prosecutor O'Malley, and I have reached out to other independent investigators because we need answers. And I know Chief Luke, and I know the arson team, I know building housing team are doing their work to make sure they get a full investigation completed. And I look forward to seeing that report and figuring out what happened. Because this is the third fire that has happened since 2018. This is the second time that over 35 families have been displaced in this area. Something ain't right. And we need to make sure we work together to do that. So I've been in communication with the administration. I've been in communication with the mayor, as well as each department from the fire and the building housing to address that. And when I mean 40 families were displaced, it was by the grace of God that we have a great relationship with Jeffrey Patterson of CMHA, who called me at 5:10, asking what can he do. And as of today, 2.5 weeks later, every family that was displaced has a roof over their head because of CMHA and the work that they did. And HUD answering the phone and removed some red tape to make sure we didn't have to go through all this paperwork, background checks, and all the extra stuff just to transfer everyone. So major shout out to that. But also, like you heard earlier, Director Angela Shute Wilson, my dog. And I mean by that, she was there, boots on the ground, her and her team with me, making calls to every family to make sure we find out where they are at, what they need, how do we get them housing. That's called teamwork and collaboration. I want to say thank you to the mayor because I called him, and me and him and the safety director, Drummond, had a conversation, and I asked if I can work with her department to be able to provide assistance. And he said he gonna call her up. She called me right after that call, and we've been talking ever since then, helping these families. So thank you for that. But I definitely also want to bring up disturbing news. While we was here doing our job, I received a call, received some text messages that I lost another child today to gun violence in King Kennedy on 66 and Woodland. And what you don't understand is when you raise kids and they don't even make it to see 21 and they dying because of gun violence, it starts to feel bad for you because you become numb. How much more crying can I do? How much complaining can I do? How much more thoughts can I feel? Because Scott just lost his life at 20 years old. And if you don't understand this, when you talk about Ms. Rita, his mama, she had to bury her son, Arthur Keefe, who was killed by a CMHA police officer years ago. Now you telling me her other son is dead because of gun violence? So when I be talking and I be really advocating and just hurt, and you might say I'm frustrated and you may think I'm yelling, it's the passion and the pain that I deal with, because I'm the one that got to be at these funerals. I'm the one that got to help assist these parents on what it takes to possibly bury another child. That's something I can't experience that. I don't have children. But I've raised so many children that they become yours, so it'd be so hard for you to understand of why, what is going on. And with that being said we have to do more. We have to do more. We gotta push the envelope. We have to get these guns off these streets. We have to get these programs in our neighborhoods. I've been tagged over since the last weekend in every social media post about Baltimore. Everybody in their family has tagged me. They have tagged the mayor pages, all together talking about how crime is down 62% in Baltimore. And Mayor Scott out there, he invested into 42 summer youth programs. I don't know the breakdown of all that, but 42 summer youth programs, 29 literacy programs, extended recreation center hours to 11 p.m. Made sure that he did planned block parties, meaning the block parties that we still see today, they still happened, but they were planned, meaning the police is involved, all the reports and organizations are collaborating to make sure those block parties are safe. They are all involved. And they opened up all swimming pools 6 days a week. All pools are open. They even opened up several schools for summer classes to make sure the parents are getting the resources. See, when I've been talking about this type of work and this type of investment for the last 3.5 years, everybody's saying, where the money at? Where the money at? We always say where the money at until it's time to bury a child. Then we all say, wow, another one. I'm tired of burying children. I'm tired of saying we don't got enough money for this. I'm tired of saying we're gonna budget to have more police officers. And no, I'm not one of the individuals to say we don't need our police, because if anything go wrong, I'm calling the police for myself. But what I'm saying is we have to invest the right amount of dollars to be proactive and not reactive. And our focus oftentimes is reactive. And within this approach of working together, we gotta be understanding. Because what we're doing is clearly not working. I don't care about the small steps. We need marginal steps. We need to say enough is enough. And we need to do everything. We can't keep saying we need to rely on private this, private that. No, because there's too many times I'm in these committees where we find dollars for everything else, but we're not finding dollars to help our kids. And as I'm talking about that, too many of our kids are graduating from our school system and they're not competent. What I mean by that is we got a 78, 80% graduation rate, but only 26% of those students that graduate are prepared for workforce, military, education, after school. So guess what is raising them? The streets. Of course they're getting shot. They don't have the skills. But we knew that in the 3rd grade when all of them advanced to the 4th grade and only 35% of them was proficient in English, language arts in our schools. This is happening in our neighborhoods. So when you say the mayor of Baltimore invested in 29 literacy programs, extended recreation hours, he put his money where his mouth is, and crime as of today is down 62% in Baltimore, which have a population of 556,000 people and a police force of 2,600. We only have 374,000 people here. There's things that we can do. If the playbook is working elsewhere, we need to bring that playbook here. And as I talk about this different issue that's challenging in our neighborhood and it's gun violence, I want to say commend my colleagues as well as our policy and research team, our attorneys for working with me the last 2 years to come up with this Cleveland Commission on Black Males, which is ordinance number 720-2025. Major shout out to my brother Anthony Harrison, Councilman Harrison, for co-sponsoring and hearing me talk about this oftentimes. We need to really study what's going on with our neighborhood. I done gave you different stats that are not just numbers. Those numbers, when I talk about the literacy in the school, is in that same report card that we brag about, a 3. But the reality is we pushing kids out. They turn into the streets. They can't work. I don't care how many jobs we offer. If they're not competent and can't do the basic math, reading, and writing, how can they get those jobs? So we need to really focus and hone in on everything that the schools are doing and making sure the support is there, but also the teaching, but also understanding of this commission. This will be something that will be created, be able to study what is actually happening in our neighborhoods as it relates to black males. We have so many educated black sisters coming from these neighborhoods that are thriving, and they're doing their best, getting multiple degrees, doing everything they can, raising a family, but they turn around and have a male or a significant other who still can't make it past 6th grade, who dropped out, but that's who they loving on. So if you fix the whole male and get them back in the household, we can have a safer community. But we, as the leaders, need to make sure we put the money where our mouth is and make sure we do everything in our power as elected officials and as well as colleagues to end gun violence and all this crime in our city. And I just want to say thank you all for the work that we're doing, but we got to roll up our sleeves because we need more to do. And rest in peace, Scott. I love you.
All right. Do we have any more miscellaneous? All right. Madam Clerk, please excuse the absences.
By Councilmember Bishop, that the absence of council members House Jones, Jones, Moore, and Santana are hereby excused, seconded by Councilmember Gray.
Did you have Joe Jones too?
Yes.
Thank you. Meeting adjourned.